Back-to-back seasons without the Bengals in the playoffs. Joe Burrow looks to end that drought this season with both his top targets receiving long-term deals this offseason. The team still needs to get a deal done with star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson, though. Chris Canty had this to say if Burrow misses yet another postseason.
Joe Burrow played GM this offseason. If it doesn't work out for the Cincinnati Bengals, if they go a third straight year of not making the playoffs, then all of a sudden Joe Burrow is, his status as a quote-unquote elite quarterback in the eyes of most has to change. All of a sudden he gets relegated to that second tier of quarterbacks.
So since Burrow got drafted in 2020, the Bengals have struggled to begin a regular season as they posted a .380 win percentage in the first 5 games over that span. Burrow himself also struggling with a QBR 52 in that span compared to a 67 QBR the rest of the way. Kimberly, it takes him a little bit to get started.
A little bit.
It feels like the whole squad. How much blame does Burrow deserve for the Bengals' woes?
So here is what I'm not about to let Big Chris Radio Canty do, is put blame on Joe Burrow. I'm sorry, because you can't watch the season that he had last year and say, you know what, that guy, he's the reason they can't get to the playoffs. Not when he was carrying an entire offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and carrying an entire defense. The amount of, they scored almost 35 points a game in a lot of their losses. That's on the defense. Now, one of Chris's points was, well, he played GM, saying that they should sign Jamar and T. I believe a lot of us felt that they needed, when you have 2 good receivers like that, you keep the nucleus together. I'm not sure why Chris is so determined to drop Joe Burrow out of that elite category when the play dictates that he should be there.
Stephen A?
Well, that's Chris being Chris. I mean, I don't know what the hell has happened to this man since he got on radio. I mean, something's just not right. Something's just not right. I mean, he done lost his mind. I mean, he's crazy, half the time, but he knows his football. I love him too. Here's the deal. Joe Burrow, I don't want to hear about Joe Burrow. And RC and Kimberly, you doing the great job covering the NFL all these years as you have. Y'all know I'm right about this. People think I'm exaggerating and I'm playing around when I say this. There needs to be an investigation into Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff. I mean, what the hell are you doing over the last 6 years? But you continuously lose the first 2 games of every season. It's like there's no training camp. It's like no preseason. It's like you can pencil them in for a loss no matter what talent they have had. Do y'all know that the Cincinnati Bengals, the only time they've won a game in the first 2 weeks of the season, the last 6 years, is the year they went to the Super Bowl and they finished 10-7 that year? That's the only time. Outside of that, these guys, they lose the first 2 weeks. What are you doing? The lack of preparation, I cannot believe. A team this talented offensively, continuously, you can pencil them in to be in an 0-2 hole. That's them. We look at the coaching staff when it comes to that. You fired your defensive coordinator for a reason. You couldn't tackle. You couldn't defend the run. You messed up in coverages for crying out loud. Couldn't get your act together. That's why you got a new defensive coordinator. You want to talk about Joe Burrow being the GM? Well, isn't he worthy? Led the NFL with 4,918 yards passing, 43 touchdown passes, also led the NFL, only 9 interceptions. QBR was 3rd in the NFL. Passer rating was 3rd in the NFL. Completion percentage was 4th in the NFL. This brother had 8 consecutive games where he threw for over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. What are we talking about here? They lost 4 games last year when the brother scored more than 33 points. Right, and we're going to look at him. And oh, by the way, knowing all of this, RC, this brother shows up Super Bowl week in New Orleans on the set of First Take. Molly was right there. And what did this dude say? We got to pay Jamar Chase. We got to pay T. Higgins. We got to pay Trey Hendrickson. They took care of 2 of them. You damn right. Listen, if he's a GM, guess what? At least he's getting something done. I ain't blaming Joe Burrow. That brother's the truth. It's the team. It's the organization. They need to get their act together.
RC? Joe's not getting any of the blame here, guys?
Listen, I was talking to somebody about Stephen A the other day, and I was like, it's amazing to watch him walk into the studio with that slow, sultry saunter, right? And then when the lights come on, he's a different human. I don't even know how he does it, because this argument, the question is so ridiculous. And Stephen A gave us the passion like it was actually a relevant and valid thought. About the seasons Joe Burrow has actually finished. In two of those seasons, you go to the AFC championships. In one of those seasons, you advance. And then you look at last year, and he's the best quarterback in the world, and it's not a conversation. I was talking this offseason to a lot of defensive coaches, and I was talking to a defensive coach, and he talked to me about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. And he says to me, he was like, bro, he's like, those dudes just know how to make something out of nothing. But the reason he thought Joe Burrow was the best was, he said, but Joe Burrow never misses the something. There's something to be said for a dude that knows how to put the football where it's supposed to go. And then when you have a T. Higgins and when you have a Jamar Chase, many times those lead to explosive plays. And Joe Burrow didn't play general manager. What Joe Burrow did is what the greatest players can always do. They can say, hey, I want this. And because they want it, teams understand we better make this dude happy. And in making him happy, he begins to pay dividends on the field for us. And the other piece of it is this. You should have wanted to keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You should want to keep Trey Hendrickson. Those are the best three players on your team outside of Joe Burrow. And I don't understand Chris's incessant need to make us not believe in Joe Burrow, or for Joe Burrow to not be a part of the conversation he has earned his way into being a part of. But you just got to watch the game. There's a drop in the corner in game one. There's a fumble going across the line against the New England Patriots. Then now Joe Burrow did fumble against Kansas City, but on fourth down, you get a pass interference that gives Kansas City the ball back to go win the game. You can see what happened in the first two games. And so do they have to fix that? Yes. But none of these problems are Joe Burrow
You're missing it, RC.
If they got 99 problems, Joe Burrow ain't one.
You're missing it, RC. Radio has done something. Canty.
With the Chris Canty
that's
slander.
what this
We
is.
love Chris Canty.
I mean,
My boy,
this
he's
man,
great on the show. This is
listen, Chris Canty knows his damn football, okay?
Yes.
And he wants
Yes.
it.
Smart
But the
hell.
point is, the critical eye has intensified. I mean, you talk about me walking into the studio and then I become a different person when the lights come on. You see this, brother? When radio, I mean, the microphone gets turned on, something happens to this man. And Chris Canty has flipped. I mean, this dude, I'm waiting for him to critique the socks that Joe Burrow wears. He might find that out. I don't know with this guy. Chris Canty's a different breed, man. He's a different breed.
Hey, when Chris Canty walks into the radio studio, he is clearly the biggest man in there. But once he sits, he must turn into a small dude because he gets a little man syndrome and he pissed off about everything.
Oh my goodness.
RC,
This
too
is
far.
Like,
I'm not going to say
make-
that. I'm
This
not going
is-
to say. I
this
can't
is
say
a lot
anything
right
good about that big man. I mean, that's a mammoth of a man right
RC,
there. I'm not going to say
I
that.
don't want to
I
hear
mean, he
how
takes
you
up all
observed
the space in the
Kimberly and
damn
I
studio.
walking into the studio.
I ain't gonna say that.
I don't want that breakdown. You got to keep that one to yourself. But Stephen A., he described you as sultry, so I just want you to hold on to that because that's a once in a lifetime you're going to get that. Okay?
Sultry.
Yeah, sultry.
Actually, it's not. I was just told that the other day.
Oh, sultry, really? You were?
Oh, my
Okay.
Somebody
goodness.
else just told me
You were.
just
You
the other
told it.
day.
Yeah, you
that
told
I-
it to yourself. Cool story, bro.
You know.
All right, let's keep
All
it
right,
rolling,
I'm just
guys.
saying.
Obviously, Joe Burrow, such a talent. He's always in the mix, and so is this guy. When you have Patrick Mahomes and quarterback Andy Reid as head coach, you're always in the Super Bowl conversation. Mahomes looking for his 4th ring overall and his 3rd over the last 4 seasons. That is unbelievable. Since his first full season as a starting quarterback, that was 2018, the Chiefs have dominated the AFC. They made the conference title game every single season along, and now attempt to go their 4th straight Super Bowl. RC, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think's the biggest obstacle for Kansas City to win another one?
Well, I think the first thing is protecting Patrick Mahomes. That's the biggest obstacle. That's why you go out and you draft a lineman in the first round. You move Kingsley into the right guard position or the left guard position because he's more comfortable there after being a 2nd round pick last year. We watched that Super Bowl. And when you saw that Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes was under siege. The only time we had ever seen that from him was his loss in the 2020 one Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's the first thing. And then I think, secondly, it's the usual suspects. It's the Baltimore Ravens. It's the Buffalo Bills because of Lamar Jackson, because of Josh Allen, because of the teams you've built around them. And not only that, but the AFC West is much better. Kimberly knows this. Stephen A. knows this. Molly, you know this. When there's a team that's like the Golden State Warriors, right? Everything you start to put together is to beat that football team. Well, that's what the Denver Broncos have done. That's what the Los Angeles Chargers are doing. They're going to rush the passer. They're going to be physical. They've got quarterbacks themselves. And so not only do you have to start with protecting Patrick Mahomes, you also have to deal with the rest of the conference and with the rest of your division playing catch up on you. And every offseason, when any AFC team starts the offseason, there's a picture of Patrick Mahomes on their mirror, the same way Rocky had a picture of Ivan Drago on his mirror. They know what they're aiming for.
Kimberly?
So this one was tough for me because, like RC, I thought protecting Patrick, paramount, the division, Bills, Ravens. But the one team that seems to match up well against the Chiefs and whose quarterback has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls, I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles. I understand the Chiefs had to get to the Super Bowl in order to face the Eagles. I understand that. But every other time that Patrick Mahomes has been in a Super Bowl, you're waiting for Josh Allen and his defense to rise to the occasion. Josh always does, but there's something that happens where the Bills always lose by 3 points in the playoffs to Patrick Mahomes. It's crazy. Then you wait for Lamar, best team, best roster in the NFL. Okay, this is their year, right? Except the Ravens find different ways to make mistakes and take the game out of their own hands. So I will say the Eagles because we have actual tangible proof of Jalen Hurts going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes.
That they have available to them, and how many times you're going to knock on the door at some point in time, you got to kick it in. You know, you could say the same thing about the Bills, but the reality is Kimberly is right with her answers, the Philadelphia Eagles, because the operative word is winning the Super Bowl as opposed to getting to it. And I was thinking about getting to the Super Bowl as opposed to actually winning it. And so when you add the operative word in there, winning, the clear answer is the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'd like to throw this one out too. How about the Chiefs themselves? I mean, they were humbled.
Yeah.
That was an ass kicking in the Super Bowl. And when, you know, it's almost to use a boxing analogy. If somebody clipped you right, I remember Juan Manuel Marquez caught Pacquiao and put him to sleep. You know, he caught him with just a legendary punch.
Yeah.
You usually don't see that happen to somebody. And he caught Pacquiao, right? But that's a different thing, Ryan, Kimberly, Molly, than years ago when I saw a middleweight by the name of William Joppy get absolutely destroyed by Felix Trinidad. You know, that's the kind of ass whipping where you look at a person and you say, you might need to retire. There's no coming back from that. You know, when Errol Spence lost to Terrence Crawford, RC was there, I was there. We were like, well, damn, you need to take at least a year off before you think about it. And if you decide to retire, ain't nobody gonna be mad at you. Because that was the kind of ass whipping. We didn't expect to see that, right? I'm watching the Eagles in the Super Bowl against the... I'm not laughing because I love Errol Spence. But damn, damn. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Now, we get to the Chiefs and we look at the Super Bowl. Okay, the Eagles beating them and stuff like that. All right, I got it. Damn. I mean, you know it's bad when Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are sitting on the bench in the third quarter going like this. Damn.
Listen,
It was
humble
that
moment
bad.
might be the best thing that happened to
trust
them.
me.
That's hard to get over.
So obviously,
They like getting hit in the mouth.
they'll have
That's hard to get
eye
over
on the
that.
Eagles and like our
Because they set
gotta
the
protect
ingredient.
that man. All right, we'll leave it there, guys.